Now, when you're sending out email campaigns, right, there is a database that you have. Now, this database, and imagine I'm working for, let's work for a cool company, okay? Imagine I'm working for Google. Now, when I work for Google, there will be, say, I will have 500 million customers. Now, out of 500 million customers, all customers may not be contactable on email. Now, why am I saying this? What happens is there is a particular section of audience, right, whose email IDs may have changed, or they may be inactive, or they may have been locked out of their own account, or it may have been hacked, or they may have forgotten password, right? All of these things are possible. Now, I'll give you an example. I have maybe 7 email IDs. Out of that 3, I have no clue what their passwords are. I've tried recovering it, but my recovery thing goes to an email which I don't have access to, right? So it's completely locked out. A lot of us have emails like that. So you will have this entire database of people who are not contactable because of that. So that is one where from your total 500 million customers, you imagine you have lost out another 20 million customers, right? Who have lost, who have not opened, etc. The other set of customers that you have are active and inactive customers. Now look at your own phones and see that there are certain brands who send you email that you never open. Okay. Now there are some which you will open, right? So if I get from Myntra, Flipkart, Nykaa, Amazon, all of these guys, I will open. Imagine I get from Lenskart. Now I used to have specs, by the way, till I was 23 years old, and then I did a surgery. So I used to buy from Lenskart before. Now Lenskart keeps sending me emails, not knowing that I did a surgery, right? So they think that Pooja can, still wear sunglasses, still wear glasses. So they keep sending me all of these emails about number, not number, etc., etc. Now, I will never open Lenskart again. I mean, I have removed the number. Then I will not, till the time I don't need it, I will not go back to that, right? So I never open the email. And it's been literally, how many years since I have not opened it? Still, they keep sending me. However, when they send me, they will know at the back end that I'm an inactive customer, which means I never open their email. So when they send out emails, they know that these are our active customers who have, and how is active customers defined? In the last 3 campaigns that were sent, these people at least opened one of those emailers. So I know they are alive and kicking, right? They are fine. So that's why they have been able to open it. So I have been able to identify my active customers. The people who have not reacted to my campaigns in the last 3 months will be put into inactive customer base. So eventually, when my boss asks me, saying, Pooja, kitne customers ko email bheje hai? My answer to that person should not be total customers, right? Total contactable customers. My answer to them should be that we have 500, we had 500 million customers. However, we are sending this out to 300 million active customer base. I don't have to mention inactive there, because inactive customers may not actually come back and do anything for me. If they do it, it's bonus. But if they don't do it, khali fukat, my boss will say, yaar, itne logon ko bheja, kuch nahi hua, right? But itne logon mein you have to break it down into active and inactive. So I will always say that these are my active customers whom I have sent it out for, because the number that you give them is how they plan their business numbers. If I give the entire overall customer base just because I know I've been sending, or I'm sending it to everyone, they will do incorrect reporting. Because if I tell them I'm sending it to 200 people instead of 200 total people, but only 100 of them are active, I can only expect out of the 20 to respond, right? Now, 20 upon 200 is a very small number, but 20 upon 100 is a good number. So for that, we use the active customer base. However, what we do is, the tracking we do like this. At my end, I will send to inactive customers, because I'm hoping कि उसमें से 5 लोग भी अगर click किया ना ये email पे, we'll be able to transfer them into the active base. So we will break, and imagine this is say 20 lakh active customers, and we have 3 lakhs of inactive customers. I will say 20 lakh mein how many opened, clicked, etc. I will then tell my boss at this time, saying we also send it to the 3 lakh inactive customer base, और उसमें से 500 लोगों ने click किया. So now we have been able to convert the 500 log into the active customer base. So that's a good thing, but that should only come out in the reporting part of it. So you literally will track, and I'll explain all of these metrics very quickly. All of these things, which is how many people did I send it to, how many people opened my email. Okay, there is something called as open rate. Open rate is the number of people who have opened divided by the number of people who it was sent to. So out of 100 people, if 20 people open the email, my open rate is 20 divided by 100, right? That's open rate. Click rate is how many people clicked on the email. Now, click rate can be calculated in two ways. Either you can do click rate on total opens, or you can do click rate on total emails sent. Now, if I do click rate on total opens, I will do clicks divided by total opens. So out of 20 people who opened, 5 people clicked. So 5 divided by 20 will be my click rate on opens. 5 divided by 20 lakh whom I sent it to will be click rate on email sent. You have to specifically mention and try to capture both the metrics because it helps. Bounce rate is how many people the email bounced to. So like I said, the email can be given incorrectly. So if you ask, like if I go, if this is Zerodha or one of these, places where you have to collect email ID. If you ask people for email ID, you know what they do, right? They'll put xyz@gmail.com, 12345@gmail.com. That's what they do. Now those emails, I cannot manually go through and clear it up, right? So I send it out to everyone, and then I will get all of these emails will get bounced. I will then have to see how many percentage of emails have bounced out of my total emails sent. So bounce rate is always captured on email sent. So total bounce divided by total email sent. Last thing is unsubscribe. Now, in an emailer, and I'll be very frank with you, right? If you send it out to 10,000 people, you should not get more than 2 or 3 unsubscribes. Otherwise, there's something really wrong with your campaign. And I'll tell you why. How many of y'all have actually gone and unsubscribed to an email? बहुत मेहनत है. I mean, imagine going into the email, going into that place where it says, clicking on that link which says click here to unsubscribe. You will open that page. It will say, why do you want to unsubscribe? We are sorry to see you go. And you will select saying mails are too frequent or mails are irrelevant to me. And then you will press an OK. एक email unsubscribe करना बहुत मेहनत है. If people are unsubscribing you with so much मेहनत, then people hate you that much, right? Or hate your messaging that much. That is why if you start getting a lot of unsubscribes, more than 5 unsubscribes for any email quantum sent is a problem. So make sure that if you start seeing a lot of unsubscribe, reduce the frequency of your email. The rule is you should not send more than 3 emails a week. 2 emails is perfect. Anything more than 3 emails a week and you will start being put in spam. Now, in our email performance, right, you have people who ignore your emails, which means people are not opening your emails. Like I said, the lens card never open the email. Bounce rate are people who have given you incorrect email ID. See, it's very important when we're doing bounce rate. And I do this even at our end in my team. When we get bounce rates, so I tell people that the problem is not people giving you wrong email ID. The problem is you are asking people forcefully somewhere for an email where they are uncomfortable and they don't want to give you email. That's why they're putting a wrong email. Why will you put wrong email otherwise, right? There is an effort to even add a wrong email ID. You have to type it eventually. You have to think of kya dalu. So when you see bounce rate or when you see incorrect 1, 2, 3, 4, ABCD, all of these emails, ask yourself in your process, why are you forcing the customer to fill an email ID in the first place? Are you forcing them to fill an email before they can reach your website? Those pop-ups, force pop-ups come where it says, put in your email ID so that you can check out the site. All of those are a big problem. So evaluate that, check how many people are putting you in spam, reduce frequency if you're seeing that. Same with unsubscribe. Check, and unsubscribe actually has 2 things. Unsubscribe not only is because people are irritated out of you. Unsubscribe is also because your content is not relevant to their audience. So when you start saying unsubscribes, figure out if you have not segmented your data properly. So if I send to everyone, like, if Sold Store, for example, which is an apparel store, if they launch a men's shirt, and if they send a campaign to me, I will unsubscribe them, right? Because they have not shown me according to my geography or my demographic or my details. So I will unsubscribe. So figure out if you're actually targeting the wrong customer also, because of which they're unsubscribing. The last thing is the volume. Remember the 50,000 per day? Try not to send more than 50,000, 70,000 per day, because then the same thing happens, which is your domain, your sender reputation score starts going down. So last thing, make sure you have good content, and brands like Swiggy, Zomato, they've cracked that kind of like content, right? You have cracked content that you will want to open up and read. This is amazing. And for all businesses, I always say this, that for all businesses, it's not that you have to be the coolest brand ever, but try to have, storyline, try to have comic strips, all of these things in your email, so people are more interested to open it. Filter your database, make sure you remove all of these ABC, XYZ kind of emailers. Make sure you, for every campaign you send out, once you send out, your job's not done, right? Your job is done only when you're able to track or get learnings from that campaign. Make sure that you segment databases into different buckets. So men, female, age group, etc. All of these different segments. Drip email campaigns is what we'll go through in the next version of this PPT. And make sure that your inactive and active customers are separate, and you try to keep converting your inactive customers into active customers. Now, these are just examples of how do you improve open rates, right? So if people are not opening, you try to send different products. If I am Amazon and I'm sending someone perfume and I see they're not reacting to perfume, then make sure you send next time for food, send for electronics, right? Try to figure out what they're interested in. If they still do not click on 3 emails of yours, right, put them in the inactive base so that you don't keep spamming them again and again. So don't keep sending the same emailer 5 times, hoping that they'll click. Remember that if you tell me right now, right, if you say, Pooja, go and buy a football, I'll say I don't want a football. If you show me a football 5 more times, is it going to make me want to buy a football? No. And always that is true for all types of marketing, right? If someone is not responding to you, it is an answer. And this is, and they say this true for relationships also, right? No response is also a response. There is someone who is saying, listen, I don't want to talk to you. Same with customers. If they're not talking to you back, that means they don't want to talk to you. They have given their message. It is up to you to take the message and not be in denial. The last thing to remember is try, and before you, give up after the 3 things, in those 3 things, make sure you're testing. And A/B testing is the multivariate testing, right? You're testing with one element versus the other. Do an A/B testing with the same base with different subject lines. So if you send out perfume with one subject line, send out another email with perfume, the next email with perfume with another subject line. So test these and see whether that's the reason, whether the subject line is a reason, or whether the product category itself is a reason. Now, if you send a ad of chicken to someone who's a vegetarian, and you send it out in 3 different ways, the person will still not open and buy, right? So that's true for all kinds of emails. This we have already discussed. Don't send more than 3 times. Don't keep spamming them. Make sure that you're not putting wrong subject line. So it can't say get 70% off, and when they go inside, they come to know that it's 50% plus you will get a cashback of 20%, right? So don't fool the customer. You will lose the customer for life. And the last thing is understand what is the kind of mix that your customers will want to see. So if your product is something that can't have too much of repeat purchase, right? Then like if it's a printer, how many times will I buy a printer? I may buy a printer once in 5 years or 3 years. So don't keep sending out again and again new printers to a customer who's already purchased a printer, because they're not going to buy it anymore. Now, very quickly, and drip email is one of the last things that we have in email campaigns. So what is drip campaigns? And this is important because if you're getting, and there are certain job profiles which are for campaigns, right? There is a campaign manager role you would have heard of. Campaign manager role, paid campaigns, internal campaigns, all of these roles that you will see more. And if you're very honestly, if you're doing digital marketing, you're 100% doing email campaigns. I mean, there's no question of, who is doing email campaigns. Everyone, unless if you're in a job which is pure SEO or pure social, any other role you do in digital will have email campaigns as a part of it, right? So drip email campaigns is an entire strategy where you're automating the process. What is automation? You're making sure that when people reach a particular stage or a particular day, that a campaign gets delivered to them without you manually having to actually take out the database and send out emailers. Let me give you an example. So for many, many years, right? And I started email campaigns in 2011. At that time, we didn't have all of these software. So what we would do is we had a database team. We would go to the database team and I would tell the database team that I want a list of all the customers that we have who are males between the age of 25 to 45, and I want a separate customer of females between the age of 25 to 45. Or if we did a store opening, right? We would say, I want all customers who are living in and around, Delhi, right? Or in and around Bangalore. So we had to go for every requirement. We had to go to the database team. The database team would remove the database. They would give it to us. We would make the email creative, sender ID, subject line, and all of that. We would then go to MailChimp or Netcore, right? Either of these, and they were present at that time. We would go to those data, and I used to manually do this. Okay, for like at least 4-5 years of my career, I have done this manually. I would go upload the database, and database also now to upload, by the way, is not easy. You have to transfer it to a CSV format. You have to then put exactly the title of the column that they have asked you, because it's a template also that you have to upload. So you have to change the name. It says email. So email ID, right? They may not allow you to write email on top. You will have to write email underscore ID in all chota. ऐसे सब था. So manually we would upload the HTML, write the subject line and everything. Then we would test it to our own emails. We would test it to other, and then we would send it out. And this was officially, I'm not kidding you, it was literally a one-day activity, just getting a campaign sent out once you had the data. It was very boring. I mean, I used to hate this job out of all the jobs that I did because it was so manual. Today, we don't have to do it because today there are softwares and tools where you can automate this entire process. So what you can do is you can say, out of my entire database, you set rules. Okay, you can set rules saying all customers, and this is literally writing a line, right? All customers between this to this, or all customers who have taken this action, all customers who have added to cart. You create the email, upload it, and keep. You have these different scenarios. You just map the scenario with the email template. So for this email template, for this segment, ye email, for this segment, this email, and you have to do that once. After you do that once, right, then you're done. Then it will keep sending as and when new customers come in, right? Today, whichever customers came added to cart and left, all of those will get one email which talks about, hey, you've left this in your cart. Tomorrow, when new customers come and add to their cart and leave it, again, I don't have to manually go and say this database ko ye bhejna hai. Automatically, tomorrow at a set time, and you can set a rule saying every day at 11 o'clock this email should go out. So कल 11 बजे तक whoever had put anything in their cart, वहाँ पे directly वो email चला जाता. I don't have to do anything. So it's a one-time setup, and that is why drip campaigns are important. Any questions, anyone?